Scott Hamilton is the CEO of the Urban League of the State of Arkansas, a nonprofit dedicated to equity and equality, specifically involving issues related to health, education, housing, jobs and employment, and social justice. This past month, the Urban League embarked on an ambitious plan to work with a number of hunger relief organizations to strengthen efforts to combat food insecurity. Could it be a blueprint for a larger statewide business model? All right, let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing here in the month of December. You guys got a pretty large amount of funding to help with food insecurity. Kind of give everybody the overview of what you received and then what you've been doing with that money.
Yeah, absolutely. So when COVID, broke out last year, we were just like everybody else, trying to figure out our way. How do we survive as a nonprofit? But more importantly, what do we do in that space to make sure that citizens in our community are able to deal with and navigate through this space that none of us have ever been in? So we began to start looking at what types of impacts that COVID was exacerbating in areas that people were already having challenges in. And I'll tell you, Roby, food insecurity really started to rise up to the top. All of our research talked about how COVID was going to impact the current or existing systems and networks of getting food to folks that are in need. And we saw that that was going to be a big problem. Transportation, really getting down to the street level, if you will. Schools, kids being out of school, not being able to access, say, free and reduced lunches or the after school programs. That really concerned us. So we began as the organization to look at how the Urban League could get into that space. So we did a lot of research. We started to look at what was existing. We got a great network of food banks. We've got the Hunger Relief Alliance. We've got systems that are there, but we started seeing some struggle because people couldn't really get to food banks and things. So we began to seek a funding, CARES Act dollars, where the Urban League could come and impact or find ways to help alleviate issues in the food insecurity space. So we knocked on a whole lot of doors. And about 2 weeks ago, the Department of Human Services, DHS, reached out and says, look, we like what you guys have presented. And they awarded us $450,000 in CARES Act money. We said, oh my goodness, we got 2 weeks to do this. And I'll tell you, Roby, we reached out to networks. That's what we did. We reached out to 45 counties. We identified 45 counties that were really having food insecurity issues. And we found entities that were already doing work because we thought the quickest way to try to make an impact is find entities that were doing this. So we got entities that were already approved by DHS to do food work in these communities. We put together a program, did a quick RFP, got partners out there. And what we did is we provided funds to them and said, look, get out into your communities, either provide meals, food commodities. We even had a setup where literally citizens could go to the grocery store and we could pay for some of their groceries. So our objective was to get the CARES Act dollars out into our communities, help folks that were in need from a food insecurity standpoint. And I think we've done a pretty good job at it. We're excited of what we've seen thus far.
So the funding is there, the food bank infrastructure, the food distribution infrastructure is there in terms of collecting the food. But what I hear you saying is that the logistics to get the food out to the people that need it versus maybe they come to the food bank, maybe they
Right.
come to the food resource, but also there is a potential for outreach to take the food into the community. Give me an example of something kind of concrete, innovative that you guys have done over the last couple of weeks to address and alleviate that problem.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. Like I said, we've got a good structure that has worked, pretty well pre-pandemic. Not perfect because again, it's logistics. What we started doing, Roby, is we kind of looked at we call it the Amazon model, right? You've got large distribution centers that Amazon has that brings in, just bulk quantities of goods that people are looking for. So, you'll see a plane land. There could be all kinds of things in a crate that goes to a first hub, large hub, and then you start to kind of pull those things out and aggregate them. Certain things here, these types of pieces to ultimately work your way to the end consumer. And so you would see product move from a large facility to a smaller, to a smaller, to a smaller, getting down to what we say the street level. We saw it a couple of years ago. They were talking about drones literally delivering your packages. I think we will see that one day. But what we do see right now is that your Amazon package shows up on your front door, usually in an Amazon truck, but every now and then you'll see someone in their own personal vehicle that's delivering your package. And so we call that the last mile. And someone this morning said, you've got to get down to the last 10 feet. So what we did out here in Little Rock is we put together an operation out at the Arkansas State Fairgrounds. And what we did, Roby, is just this, is that we started to look locally. We saw a lot of out of work chefs, caterers, restaurant operators. These folks were out of work because of the pandemic. We realized out at the state fair that there was a lot of commercial kitchen access, a lot of just space where we could be very COVID aware in terms of our operation. And so we went out and we partnered up with the state fair, and we have a full blown daily, almost around the clock group of chefs that are just cooking food. We're getting the food from our food bank networks, so that way we get them at a very cost effective. But we got folks just cooking, and then we've got teams of folks that are taking that cooked food, they're packaging it in single plate meals, wrapping in it. We had volunteers, we had some state reps out there yesterday. We got just all kinds of people that are coming, helping us package these meals. We're then loading them into refrigerated trucks and moving them around the state to different communities. We've targeted low income housing facilities, senior facilities, veterans facilities initially, just because that logistically has helped us. Um, Roby, Arkansas is coming out. They like this. Hunter Bell over at Bell Chevrolet loaned us a really nice refrigerated truck. We needed one. We were desperate. We couldn't find one. And we reached out and they were great. I mean, you had Hunter over there and Logan and Timothy. They said, man, come get this truck. Make this truck do what it needs to do. Feed Arkansans. And that's what it's about. So what we've tried to do is put together a structure here to see if this could work. We think it can. And what we'd like to do from that is begin to see if we can replicate a similar model out into our counties, out into our small communities. Can we find a shuttered school or a restaurant that has a commercial kitchen? Can we then identify people that are trained and skilled at preparing meals, and begin to set up operations in more of a localized manner where folks can prepare meals in communities that they're going to serve directly? If we can figure out a way then to get the commodity food to them, then it becomes a lot easier to get food into, as we say, the bellies of those that need it. So that's what we're going to be working on going forward. But yeah, we're right now running a kind of a test model, if you will, right here in Little Rock at the Arkansas State Fairgrounds.